What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioWest 3 Raw TV. First of all, let's fix this fucking camera and go make that shit square. Alright, we're good. So, we got some shit to talk about in the bodybuilding world today, and I'm glad we finally have some kind of hype that we've been kind of waiting for all year. And it comes from, I think, one of the most hyped guys right now in the entire industry, and that is Nick Walker. So, on Nick Walker's Instagram, which I follow Nick, I'm very intrigued with how this kid is putting together his prep for the Olympia. In general, when he first debuted, I actually judged North Americans when he turned pro, and got to see him in person. And I said, you know, this kid is like, he's unreal in person. He really is. He's so thick, so much muscle maturity for his age. And I'm like, he's gonna really do well, right? And right out of the gates, he wins the New York Pro, which was held in Tampa, which is confusing, but the Tampa New York Pro, the Tampa held New York Pro. He wins that his first time out. Okay, so now, very rarely do we see guys that jump out of the amateurs and right into the pros and wind up doing well and beating people that have been around for a little bit, etc. And not that it doesn't happen, but when it does happen, it's something special. And we usually see people starting to, you know, develop a kind of more of like a branding right off the bat. We saw it with Phil Heath when he came out. He started winning shows like right away. You know, we see that with a lot of guys, but even Jay Cutler like didn't really win his first show when he came out as a pro, right? And went on to become a Mr. Olympia. So we have Nick, you know, and of course it's different times, different competitors, you know, the competition is different nowadays. I get it, you know, there are less people in certain contests. I get it 100%. But the point is, throughout history, when you come out of the amateurs into the pros and you're doing well, you're going to be looked at as somebody who could possibly be banging it out there on the Olympia stage, right? We saw, let's see, Kevin Levrone, Dorian Yates, many other guys get second at their first Olympia, right? So they're winning shows like back then it wasn't the New York Pro, it was the Night of Champions, which that's the show that, you know, Kevin, Dorian, all these guys were competing for that title, and Dorian won it his first try. I don't remember if Kevin won that one his first try or not. But the bottom line is Nick went and did it. So I'm like, okay, all of this is kind of interesting, right? Leading up to the 2021 Olympia, we got some new guys coming in. Great, this is awesome. Now, the post on his Instagram today, this one was like, I really stopped and went, what? And I replayed it again and watched it again. And during the video, he said that when he started competing, which was, you know, not a whole lot of time ago, that he had two main goals. In his entire competitive career, has pretty much been down to two goals, right? So from the time he started, he's like, it's not about winning the Olympia. No, he's got two goals. Number one, win the New York Pro his first try. Okay, he did that. His second goal, and his only two goals in bodybuilding he had, is win the Olympia his first try this year. And I went, oh shit. So I rewound it, I watched it, I said, dude, this kid's serious. And he said, you know, I'm not trying to be cocky, I'm not trying to be arrogant, I'm confident. I'm confident that I work hard. I'm confident in, you know, how I train. I'm confident in my diet. I'm confident in what I put into this and my hard work. And I'm confident in my team. I'm confident in my sponsor. So he's confident, right? Okay, fine. Confidence is one thing. I get that. Here's the deal. I think Nick Walker is a great bodybuilder right now. I really do. I think he's got all the tools. That being said, we have seen him in, you know, I wouldn't say the top tier shows, because the top tier to me would be the Arnold and the Olympia. That's the top tier. We haven't seen him step on stage next to that caliber of competition yet. Now, Nick didn't go through the amateurs super easy. I mean, well, easier than most of us, but it wasn't like he did one show, went to nationals, won his pro card, and then came out and won, you know, the New York Pro. I mean, he's had his ups and downs with his placings and eventually turned pro, but right out of the gate as a pro, he's doing well. Now, I stepped back and said, when Nick gets to the Olympia, and he steps on the stage at the Olympia, not only do those Olympians train just as hard as he does, I mean, let's be real, they're Olympians, and they've been there for a while. That means they know how to train, and they're putting in effort at that level, which is a level above the New York Pro, or a couple levels above the New York Pro. I would go New York Pro, Arnold, then that. So there's a couple levels above where he's at. And those people have been there sustaining, and some have even won it before. So they're on a different level, right? Now, granted, the New York Pro is a different level than the amateurs, right? The national level. But he proved that he was up there and he jumped to that. Now, until we see him on the stage standing next to the Olympians, I'm not saying this fucking guy's doing shit. We have seen this, I can't tell you how many times with like Dennis Newman, Hunter LeBron, like so many people throughout time that, oh, they're definitely going to win the Olympia, and they don't, right? Oh, they're going to the Olympia, they're going to win it this year. People were actually saying when Hunter LeBron, his rookie season, he's got a chance to win the Olympia. People were actually saying that about him before he went to the Olympia his first time. And of course, he didn't do that well because it's a different level. Not only do these guys know how to train, know how to diet, they also have access to, whoever the best trainers and best everything. You guys get what I'm saying? Best gear, best everything, right? But as good as Nick Walker's genetics are, the genetic elite, which are, you got to prove yourself to that shit. You don't just get, I won the New York Pro, so I'm the genetic elite. Fuck, that's not how that works. You got guys that had never lost a show until they got to the Olympia, right? Nick has lost shows in the past. So you have guys that technically are the creme de la creme, top of the fucking mountain genetic gene pool, right? For this sport. You got guys that can fucking barely look at a weight and grow, right? And you got guys that have not just more muscle maturity, but they've been to the Olympia before. They've competed at the Olympia before. They have strings of wins under their belts to get to the Olympia that they've been to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, right? You have people like Sean Roden that had won a string of pro shows before he ever got there. And then, Sean's got one of the most beautiful physiques ever, right? Great symmetry, great flow. He has enough size, good conditioning. Like, it took him how many tries to win the Olympia, right? For Nick to come out and think that, and don't get me wrong, I think that every single competitor in Nick's shoes should be saying what he's saying. I'm confident that I can win the Olympia. I'm confident that I can go in there and bang heads with these guys. I'm confident in my abilities and what I'm going to bring, that I can be out there battling for the top spot at the Olympia, right? I think everyone should. Otherwise, why should you train and even compete? Like, what are you going to say? These guys, I'm just going to go and get the experience. Like, that's cool, but dude, what the fuck? Like, you might as well give it your all and fucking see where you land instead of just like half-assing it and wherever I land, at least I got to the Olympia and I got the jumpsuit, right? I got the warm-up suit, which is totally cool. I got no problem with that. But if you really want to be Mr. Olympia, you get it in your head. Like, I remember asking Cutler. I remember one time we were at a show somewhere and I was driving with him. It was just him and me. And I said, do you ever, when you were going to do the Olympia, he said, dude, I had already had that in my head that I was going to win the Olympia. He goes, I was getting frustrated taking second to Ronnie. He goes, but I always knew in my heart of hearts that I would win, right? He had that in his head from the time that he started competing, that his goal was to be Mr. Olympia and he was going to do it. Sean Roden, same fucking thing. Sean came to us when we had M3muscle.com. It was a website in the 2009. Myself, my friend Rick, and Kevin Levrone owned it together. And we interviewed Sean when he hadn't even competed in like 10 or 11 years. And he said, I'm going to go win the Delaware so I can qualify. I'm going to go win the North Americans. I'm going to go win a bunch of pro shows, and I'm going to win the Olympia. He said that after not competing for 10 years. The three of us looked at us like we were he was crazy. Like he was like completely fucking high or something. We were like, dude, he left, and Kevin was like, that's a bold statement to make. Especially saying it to Kevin, who's somebody that, hadn't won the Olympia himself and was a Hall of Fame bodybuilder and had the winningest record of all time at the time. I think Dexter and Ronnie, Dexter beat him, and I think Ronnie eventually took that title of the winningest bodybuilder with the most wins. But I remember the year that Sean won. I was in Vegas. It was early in the morning. Aaron and I got up. We were going to the dispensary. One of the dispensaries, it was Yardin Dispensary, which is one place that I like to go when I get out to Vegas. And my phone rang. And I look at it, and it says Kevin Levrone. And I knew what he was going to say. I picked up the phone. He said, can you fucking believe it? He's like, Sean actually won. He told us he was going to do this like 6 or 7 years ago. He told us that he was going to do this. And he never gave up, and he did it. So a lot of these guys have that in their head like that. And a lot of these guys are open about it, and they throw it out there, right? So I'm not taking anything away from Nick. I'm not saying, let's be 100% fucking real. Could there possibly, and this is just fucking spitballing on the fucking hip, right? Could there possibly be a situation where the top guys either get injured, right? Or maybe one of them gets injured. One of them has injury, and he decides to go and compete anyways. Like when Dorian had torn his arm, when Jay had torn his bicep. What happened? They lost, right? Well, Dorian didn't lose. He kept winning. But let's say you got a couple people that do some crazy dumb shit at the Olympia because they're trying to win, right? They come in 80%, 60%, 50%, whatever the fuck, they're not at 100%. A couple people get injured, and Nick comes in dialed in 100% and nails it, right? Because he's pretty much fucking shredded year round. Kid never gets fat. When he dries out, he doesn't flatten out. Let's say he comes in full, big, hard at 260-something pounds at 5'9". That motherfucker could inch his way up, and I'm not saying that it couldn't fucking happen. It absolutely could happen. Will it happen? I highly doubt it, but I'm saying it could happen. Like, stranger fucking things in this world have happened than Nick possibly winning the fucking Olympia. I'm just throwing it out there. In my personal opinion, do I think it's going to go down like that? I do not. Okay, and this is just my personal opinion. I like Nick, and I hope the best. I hope he wins. Nick, if you see this, I hope you win. But, being realistic, I know when you step on stage at the Olympia, it's a whole different animal. Those guys are not the same guys that you're competing with that are on that local level, like the, not the local, of the tier down below the Arnold, right? My thing is, if Nick had gone to Tampa Pro and he won, and he goes to the Arnold, because the Arnold's before the Olympia this year, right? It's like right before, and he goes to the Arnold and he wins the Arnold. Now I'd be like, ooh, you know what? Here we go. You know, he jumped in the New York Pro, which is a very prestigious show, right? A good quality show. He won. He went to the Arnold, which is just one step below the Olympia, and he fucking won. And if he does it decisively, holy shit, now we get something to talk about, right? Then you go to the Olympia, and now you're seeing like that top tier, that notch up like that level up. Then we will see what happens. But all I can say is, right now, this breathes a little bit of life in the sport that I think we need, right? I think that we need, you know, we have the same guys that are up there competing all the time. We need somebody new to come in there and shake it up. And I think that Nick could do that. Absolutely. I think out of all the newer guys right now, Nick could be the guy to shake it up a little bit. You know, he's got a great following. People are paying attention to him. He's documenting everything along the way. He's being open with how he trains and diets and all these types of things. He's a nice kid. He's got, you know, in a good place right now where he just has to prep. He doesn't really have to work another job. He's good to go with his contracts and stuff. He's in a good place right now to be a top guy. He really is. Now, time will tell, and I think that it was definitely, you know, eye-opening to hear him say, like, win the Olympia on my first try, and I was like, oh, shit. Look, like Kai Green says, words become things. You put it out there in the universe, you can make it happen. Anything you put out there, if you follow the steps to what you want, you can manifest that shit and make it happen. Him putting it out there is a serious, serious step that I feel towards him accomplishing that goal. Like making it known, putting it out there and saying, this is what I'm focusing on, and then only focusing on that because you know that the world is watching now. So it gives you that extra little 1 or 2% that you need to push, that you need to go against these guys pushing anyways. So all in all, I said, you know what, now it's getting interesting. Now I'm hyped. You know, we are going to Olympia, Aaron and I. It's been a couple years. You know, the last year, of course, I was actually booked. I had to actually judge a show, so I couldn't go. And then the year before, Brady was sick, and we couldn't go. Like the night before he got sick, so we couldn't go. We canceled everything and didn't go then. So it's been about 3 years since we've been. This will be the third year that you know, that we haven't been, that we're going. And the little bit of hype behind it, I'm excited to see what happens. I'm just excited to see where he stands in that lineup, standing next to those guys. And if he wins, so be it. More power to him, and I'm happy for him. You know, but we'll have to see. But you guys check out Nick Walker. Follow his Instagram. Follow what he's doing. Very interesting individual. And it's one of those things where, you know, we need to see the new guard who's coming in. People like Dexter are retiring now. You know, people like Levroni have retired. Jay has retired. You know, Phil, I believe Phil has a few more years left in him. There's no doubt in my mind. You know, we have, you know, Rami is part. I would say he's the new blood, but Rami's a lot, you know, he's newer than Phil and some of these other guys. But we really don't have the newer guys that are up there banging heads that that have that size and that shock factor that we come to expect at the Olympia, and I think Nick has that. So time will tell, guys. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Do you think Nick Walker could, I don't think he, and I'm not asking if he is going to, do you think he could possibly win the Olympia his first try? How fucking amazing would that be? BioStrength@gmail.com. Leave comments down below. But so FightBioStrength.com is the blog. It's the Nick Walker first try at the Olympia bicep. Maybe. And we are out.